Happy Halloween, guys. We thought we'd tell you some paranormal stories and goings on of this land and the history of the land.
No.
Happy Halloween 2018. So, guys and dolls, I thought today would be the perfect day to talk to you about the property and land I live on and the paranormal goings on. We're no short supply of stories here by any means. No short supply of people who've seen and heard things on this property by any means. I'm going to start with the house I live in, but the property to me is far more interesting, and the history to it far more interesting. So, the house I live in is, well, the mobile home I live in is just a 1972 single wide. Nothing special, nothing grand. There is a story to it that I don't know if it's true, and I can't back up. Because when my father bought it for $200, it had already been moved from its original property and just parked somewhere. And he bought it for $200, brought it home to use for storage, where he set it beside the old church that used to live on this property. I wonder if my mom's got any pictures of it. I'm sure she does somewhere. Anyway, yeah. So we're just going to stick to the home first. Then we'll get to the land. Now, the story, of course, I can't verify. I don't even know where the trailer was originally sitting. But here in North Carolina, somewhere. Now, apparently, and I'm not sure about this, there was a murder-suicide. But that's quite common with married couples, which is sucks, but true. So, I can't verify that. But a lot of the things that happen in the middle bedroom here are pretty disturbing. And it's very common for people to stumble out of that middle room looking dazed and confused and frightened. I've had a couple experiences myself not being in that middle room, so I think whatever did take place here, if anything did, was in the middle room. Which is weird to me because the master bedroom you would think would be where that would take place, but who knows, maybe they were sleeping apart or whatever. So, let's talk about the land. Now, we live in the center of North Carolina, out in the middle of Nowheresville, Woodleaf. And now, I know that up the road a little ways, that Civil War was fought and all that. You got Rowan County, North Carolina, historic Rowan County, which the war did march right through. So I was surprised one day. I was out there using a metal detector, and these little tiny pebbles kept setting off the metal detector. They were musket balls. So anyway, it took me by surprise. No telling if they were just dropped or if they ripped through somebody's body or were missed altogether or whatever. But they were musket balls. And I was like, what? Why would these little rocks set off the metal detector? But yeah, I found out later. And so that was kind of interesting. It's nothing to go out there and find an arrowhead. And this property is literally littered with quartz crystals. Now, the Native Americans and other cultures called them talking stones, record keepers, and apparently capable of recording moments in history and replaying them. So I find that interesting. I love to follow my dad will go out there and dig up some of the yard for a small garden every summer, and I follow the plow around picking up giant pieces of quartz crystals and little pieces that chipped off. So I've literally got a ton of them, and I like them. North Carolina is littered with rubies, emeralds, sapphires, all kinds of great things. I've only ever found a little teeny tiny ruby and was told it wasn't very good quality, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's a ruby. But I don't know anything about that. There are gem mines and everything all around here, and I love to go. Although I could just go in the yard and dig up dirt and rocks and have a field day, and I have. There. But anyway, the property has, the interesting history of being both Native American lands and the Civil War fought through it, and of course pioneer lands and stuff like that. And it runs just off the Yadkin, which is about 2 football fields from here. And I don't know if this is true, but I heard somehow pirates navigated that. And I'm pretty sure they did, because up the road is an old pirate's graveyard. Churches would not allow pirates to be buried in the hollow ground. No, absolutely not. And I know at one time suicides and certain things were just not allowed on church graveyards. Now, let's also talk about this. When my parents bought this property about, I think about 27 years ago, and I usually say 30 because it's close enough. But when they bought this property, the land itself, about 27 years ago, there was a church sitting right here where my mobile home is sitting. Um, an old, ugly church that wasn't very much of nothing. In fact, somebody, before we got here, had, what did my dad do that? Anyway, somebody cut the end of the church out and put a garage door there. And my dad used it to tinker in, just an old building to tinker in. So, like, where the stage was is where he had, like, a tool table. What do you call this? Work table, bench. Y'all know what I'm talking about, workbench. Yeah, he just had all kinds of tools on it, and it was all kinds of stuff in there, and it had a bathroom and all that. When we decided to move into the single wide, when he first bought the single wide, he put it in front of the church. When we decided to move in, he moved the single wide back to where he had torn down the church, so we could use the plumbing, and the well access, and the what's it called? Sewage thing. I've got something in my eye. Okay, I think I got it. Anyway, septic tank. That's what it's called, a septic tank, which we had to have pumped earlier in the year. So there was a church here, but no graves, which I thought was kind of odd because it was a very old church. One day when I was searching the property, me and one of my nephews, who are not that much younger than me, my brother and sister are quite a bit older than me, so their kids are not my age, but on par with my age. So anyway, me and one of my nephews were walking up a trail back here that somebody cut out. It's a very clear trail too, so I don't know who cut that out or when. But anyway, we found a clearing. A beautiful clearing. It was just grass and flowers, and it looked like it had been maintained, but I know there was no way it had been maintained. Littered with granite stones. Polished granite stones. No writing on them, but polished granite stones. Not in the ground, just laying there. It looked like somebody had ripped up granite stones and polished, made them into gravestones and just dropped them out of there. Now, I don't know if that's where a graveyard is. I don't know if there was one on this property, and to make it more sellable, they moved the headstones. I don't know. But I do find it very curious and very interesting. In fact, I told my father about it, and he's used some of those headstones to mark graves of his late animals. But they had no writing on them, so there's no way to... He told me, nah. But he used them for the same purpose. So, all right, all that being said, let's get into the paranormal of it. About the same time of year, one year, I was walking through the woods. I like to go in there in the fall or the winter because no snakes, or less likely snakes. But anyway, me and my nephew we were playing through there, and I think we were riding go-karts or something through there, and my mom had told me, sorry, the dog. My mom had told me that when my dad got home, we'd go get ice cream, which is kind of weird to think about because I don't really care for ice cream, so I don't know why I was excited. Maybe because my nephew was. But it's like, yeah, okay, cool. So we're playing in the woods, and we hear my dad's truck come in. We hear Dad get out. We hear him talking to Mom. It's really close by, and it sounds like it's right at us, even though we were a good ways back in the woods. So we rush in. Mom was like, what the hell are you talking about? Your dad's not home. He hasn't been home. But we heard you, and we heard Daddy. We heard you. Don't just tell him about you're crazy. So, okay, fine, whatever. A few years back, I'm standing at my kitchen window, and I like my kitchen window because I got a clear view of their home. I can see everything going on, and I'm very nosy. If there's a car here, I know. So just my dad's standing in the middle of the yard. He's just standing there for no apparent reason at all. But it's not my dad. It doesn't exactly look like my dad. And it's just like my Uncle Jimmy, who passed away like a year before that. And I'm just staring at him going, can't be. So I reach over and I grab the phone, which is on the counter, and I'm staring at him. And I dial the number, and I call Mom, and I look up. He's not there. Dad answers the phone. He's in the house. Were you just out in the yard standing there? No. Why the hell would I do that? Oh, no. You're just standing there staring at the house. Wasn't me. Okay. Click. Because I know my daddy, I ain't telling him I seen nothing paranormal because he wouldn't believe me no way. Actually, I don't think that's true. I do think he believes. I just don't think he wants to tell anybody he believes. Because that man, if Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures comes on TV, he's up in that. He's watching it. Of course, he does that with wrestling, too, and he yells at it the whole time. How fake. Oh, that's so stupid. He missed by a mile. So, yeah. I guess he finds it interesting. He just doesn't believe. But it might also be what he has to tell us, though, because he's outside alone quite frequently at night. But you best believe there's always a 9mm on his hip. And mine, too, but I'm chicken. Not a ghost of coyotes. I'll just say it. There's coyotes all in those woods. So, anyway, inside the house, let's talk about this. Anybody who stays in that center room might hear people scream, a woman particularly, screaming for help at the top of her lungs. But nobody outside the house outside that room hears it. It's at night, and like my daughter's friend Taryn stayed the night, she kept hearing somebody say, help me. But in her case, I don't think it was screaming. I think it was just kind of whispering to her, help me, help me. And she kept coming out of the room, and I kept saying, honey, I don't hear anything. And I went in there, I don't see anything. There's nothing here. I even checked outside, like if somebody was at the window. Nothing. My daughter has heard the screams, the help me screams. Her boyfriend come out one day. He's kind of stumbling out the room going, somebody just got in my face and said, boo. And not in a scary way. They just went, boo. Scared the shit out of him. My daughter has heard the boo the same way, which is interesting because his last name is Casper, so I tease him about the friendly ghost. And I tried to get him to name my new grandson Casper Boo Casper because I thought it was adorable, but they think I'm stupid. So now, one night I had an interesting experience. I'm laying in my bed, and in my bed I have a clear view straight down the hallway. And I'm looking at something in the hallway. It just doesn't look right, and it kind of forms in front of me. What the hell is that? Before it's over, and now I don't know the race of the people who supposedly had the murder-suicide here. I don't know. There is what looks like an older Native American woman sitting Indian style in the center of my hallway floor. I'm just, the hell? And I jump up and I slap on the light in the hallway. Yeah, weight loss, okay? I slap on the light in the hallway. There's nothing there. But I watched it form. I saw a woman sitting in the middle of my hallway on her butt for no reason. Okay. I mean, you know, it's those things that it doesn't make any sense, but you can't prove them, and nobody believes you if you tell them. So, there have been nights, both in this home and that home, we will hear knocking all around the house like somebody's just screwing with you. Well, we ain't the type, so we open the door with the guns and the flashlights. Search the whole property. Nothing. Nothing. You'll hear car doors slam at night. Go outside and check. All the doors are fine. Nobody's been in vehicles, or sometimes it looks like somebody has. Now, there's been nights where we thought we had people intruding on the property, but I don't know if it was really people or if it was something else. But anyway, I mean, I know that there are so many more. Oh, my goodness. Tell you what about my mama told me. She does not sleep in the bed. She sleeps in a recliner because it's easier for her to breathe. She has COPD. She had sleep apnea, so she sleeps in a recliner. She calls me in the middle of the night. Something just growled at me. What? One of the dogs? Because they have a couple of dogs. It sounded like a bear. Something just growled at me. I don't know where my dad was. It's not normal for him to be gone all night, but I know there have been nights where he was gone, but I know he was not there that night. So I took my gun down there, searched her house. Nothing. Not a damn thing. I'm starting to walk out the door. felt like something big brushed past me. Like my dog big. I have a lab, not their little Chihuahua dogs. A lab big. Just kind of pushed me out of the way and went out the door. But I saw nothing. You can't shoot at nothing. I was like, Mama, you can come to the house with me if you want to, but you on your own if you stay here tonight. Yeah. Oh, in that trailer that they live in, I saw my granddaddy. It was the middle of the night. I was reading a book. I would probably Interview with a Vampire or some crap at the time. I was much younger, before I married or any of that. So I was sitting up reading a book, and I just looked up, and my granddad standing in the hallway, which is funny because I don't think he's ever been on this piece of property. I think he passed before. I know he passed before we moved here. We lived in our old house, and he would raise his hand up at me like that. I was like, the hell? And he's just gone. It's suddenly, as he was there, he was just gone. So, bear with me. I'm doing this on the fly, on the memory of what other people have told me. I've heard words said. It's not uncommon to be outside this house and hear what sounds like Zach thunder down the hallway. Only to remember Zach is at his other grandma's for the weekend. He's not now, but, and come in here and the house be completely empty. It sounds just like a toddler running down the hallway at full speed through paper-thin walls. One night, that big dog, Jake of mine, he does not bark in the house unless something's going on outside. And it has to be something crazy. If there's a dog fight in the yard, he'll alert me to it. If people are arguing in the yard, he'll alert me, but it's one boom bark, and he's done. One night he's laying beside me, and he sleeps beside my bed on the floor normally. Right now he's sleeping beside my grandson because my grandson has his own bed. But Jake's very protective, very good dog. Anyway, he comes rushing down the hallway, growling, snarling, just, If y'all have ever heard a lab get vicious, you know the noise, and it's frightening. So he does this, and I jumped out of bed, bolt upright, ran and got my gun. I'm like, what the hell is going on? He gets in the middle of the kitchen floor, and he's just kind of looking around. And he looks at me, he goes, "Arr." Then he lays down in the middle of the floor. I don't know what the hell that was. But I've never seen him behave like that, especially in the house. I mean, there's a stranger in the house and I'm going to eat his ass. Oh my God, this video is already 17 minutes long. I know there are more. I know there's a lot more. I just can't think of them. But if I think of them, there'll be a part 2 to this video. Sorry. Talked myself thirsty. Much love to you. I'll talk to you soon. Happy Halloween.